All right, so Vivek wants to shut down the FBI, and I don't think he's joking as far as all of the problems. The thing is when you look at all of the things that they're saying that they're going to fix, it really makes you realize how many things have been changed in a short amount of time and how many things that people really just do not trust anymore. If you look at everything from food to law enforcement to institutions to the media, everything is really, up in the air right now because everybody wants it fixed. Well, to be fixed, it has to be broken. Well, of course, Vivek Ramaswamy wants to shut the FBI down with Elon Musk. Here's what they need to succeed. Now, and again, they're saying shut it down, but the FBI in itself has had so many freaking problems in just the last couple of years. He also mentioned a list of dumb spending, which he noted would be extremely entertaining. Under the current budget, the highest spending departments are Health and Human Services, the Social Security Administration, and the Treasury. Social Security accounted for $1.46 trillion of the spending. Health accounted for $912 billion, and Medicare made up $874 billion of government spending over the past year. For clues on how Musk may go about slashing federal budgets, some are looking to Ronald Reagan's Grace Commission. It was made up of 150 business leaders, of course, reviewing spending across the government, who produced 2,500 recommendations. Most of the recommendations, especially those requiring legislation from Congress, were never implemented, the Reagan Library said. In the first term of office, Mr. T-Man, of course, signed an executive order to, quote, eliminate and reorganize unnecessary federal agencies, but failed to close some 19 he had his eyes on. So remember, this actually happened the first time around. He went into this knowing there was a bunch of stuff that was really bad. But one thing that we do know is it was at the end of the 4-year term, there was a lot of good going on, besides that huge, massive stimulus package, which, again, he signed in. He had a lot of people with bad advice all around him. But, of course, shrinking big government, the full scope of mechanics of DOGE, and that is now the new supposed Department of Government Efficiency, is still being decided. And it is not also known how the commission will be funded, raising further questions. Well, I guarantee they'll find money for it. There's tons of money there, and it's all going all over the place. Now, this isn't like, Elon walking into X or Twitter and saying, I own you guys, you're all fired. This is a bureaucracy. So this is going to be a nightmare for some and, frankly, a popcorn eating festival for others, because it is going to get wild. But again, a lot of people's hopes are super, super high up. For how much is going to actually change. I guess I am not going to hold my breath. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. Before we move on, make sure to go check out Jace. If you don't have an emergency kit with all of the craziness going on right now, and especially until January, it would be a very good thing to have an emergency kit, not just for any kind of big disaster, but any kind of regional disaster. Anything where you don't have access to a hospital or a pharmacy, that's where these come in. This actually has a kit that has all of the most commonly prescribed antibiotics. Not to mention, you can actually do Jace Daily, a different service, and get a 12-month extended supply of your regular meds. Go to marfooglenews.com/Jace and make sure to use the code MARF. It's super easy. It's a telehealth appointment with a board-certified doctor from the comfort of your couch. So you can't really make excuses that you don't like the doctor's office. All right, and then let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
Now, remember, you have a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document on today's video right at marfooglenews.com. Just look for today's thumbnail with Vivek saying, shut it down. All right, Dex, I do want to go back to Vivek, trying to shut down FBI. Nobody trusts FBI right now. We just covered a story in the last couple of weeks about how the FBI supposedly set up this whole sting, got this guy, tried to sell him an explosive drone, and they basically got this guy to admit that he was going to knock out our grid. Personally, I have my questions about it. A lot of people thought that it was really fishy. But it's like that's just one of thousands of stories where people are like, that's weird. FBI is always involved. What do you think about Vivek trying to shut it down or to reduce it, right?
Well, I think it's a big, tall order. I think it's one of those things, when you listen to or you look at the what the Don has wanted to do or who's been against him, and you look at the politicization of some of the departments, the administrative portions of our government, as some on that side like to call it, the administrative state. You got to look at organizations like the FBI and even to some extent the other three-letter agency out there, and question, how much power and control do they have, and what are they doing? And I think that we saw clearly the last time he was in position that entire organization had a lot of things to do against him, as opposed to just doing, I guess as opposed to doing other work too. Not to say that everybody in that organization is bad, but it seems like at the leadership level and the rank and file in there's probably a lot of corruption, just like there would be in any large government institution that's been ingrained for so many years. So, to think that they want to gut that and start it over or do something drastically different, it's surely a dream. And I think a lot of people around here would be like, man, that would be so awesome if they did. But I don't know, man. Is it really going to happen? That just seems like a tall order. And then if it did, you got to be careful. Do you really want what you're going to get on the other end? Are we going to end up with a different organization that has a different set of rules that we may not even like?
So let's do a quick poll. And this is with, we've got at least 1,000 in the chat right now. So let's ask a poll real quick. How many of you, out of all of the things that are said to be fixed in the government and in our system in a whole and with the world, what percentage of the things do you think is actually going to be able to get done? General, from 0% up to 100% of all of the promises, not just FBI, but everything. How many of the promises do you think that in 4 years they could fix? Now, in 4 years, all of these things have been destroyed, and that was easy, but fixing them, that is much harder. What percentage, let's go over to the chat and we'll pop it up, from 0% to 100%, how many of the problems do you think a new admin can actually do? And if they really go, balls to the wall, like 25%, manifestations of the light says 65, Barbie's Rule, 75, Alaska Born says 30%, 65%, Melissa H, 50%, Power to the People says 20, Anonymous Prepper 10. I see a lot of under 25%, right? Thank you. Eyes on Jesus, Not the Storm. Sweatinum, nice to see you. And then let's see here, 0%. I think something will be fixed, Dave. Drago Jub, Mama Wolf, what is going on? 5.2%. So, and it's not being negative to say that. I think it's being more realistic. If you think about it, even if they, and here's the thing though, there are going to be changes, because if you put somebody like RFK in charge of health and the famous farmer in charge of agriculture, Pete Hegseth with super strong opinions as the Secretary of Defense, if you put, all of these folks in charge of positions that do have a huge stick to wield, then yeah, things will change. But how much of the bureaucracy is going to stop all of the good changes happening? Lots of positive ones too. A lot of people think anywhere from 50 to 75%, right? But the other half, it's like half and half. Half of it is under like 20%. A lot of people believe that it's not going to happen. So we'll see. A lot of 65% too. So maybe
I like Choo Choo Fixer. He said 150%. I want to know what that extra 50 is, though.
I guess we'll find out, right? Everybody will be put in jail, right? And this was not funny. We'll talk about that here in a second. But let's talk about RFK for HHS. I mean, this is kind of the official position. That's why before we were like, he's somewhere in health, right?
Yeah, exactly. And look, this is a big deal. We all knew something like this was coming, but he is now nominated for the HHS secretary. And just a reminder, like who reports up through that? Well, the FDA, the that institute here in Atlanta, the Center for the Controlling of all those things like diseases are here, and they report up through it, as well as the NIH and others, many others. So it's a really critical key role. Obviously, we knew that he would probably fall somewhere in that category. Maybe some even just suggested he would be in the FDA, but no, he's got the big role, and it's already shaking up even the pharma market, as far as like they took a little bit of a hit when the Don won the event on the 5th, and now they've taken an even bigger hit in the stock market now that he has been named the director of the HHS secretary, not director, secretary.
Now, do you see all of the stuff coming out about Kellogg's? There's a huge push. I think there was over 400,000 petitioning. I don't think people are going to be quiet about the cereal thing. The cereal is just one area where there's just all these harmful dyes in. Specifically, a lot of folks are talking about Kellogg's right now. People are posting videos that a lot of like the Apple Jacks and things like this are in the discount aisle. I don't know if that is individual stores truly trying to get rid of older cereal or something, but there are a lot of those videos being posted. Now, Apple Jacks, Crave, Lucky Charm. I forget if Lucky Charms is one of them. There's this huge list. All of the Kellogg cereals are now kind of on this chopping block because what they're saying is in other countries, in European countries, you have, of course, in Canada and other places, they've already outlawed or banned a lot of these dyes. These dyes cause, through new studies, they are showing that they may cause, they have carcinogens, they have cancer-causing agents, that they may have things that cause autism. And I'm saying may have to be, safe here. But again, a lot of folks believe that these are absolutely part of the problem. And the thing is once you are diagnosed with those things, where do you then go to get yourself fixed up? You go to the big farm, right? And you get yourself all hooked up and dependent on something that fixes the problem, but really it's not fixing it. It's almost like it's keeping it going, right? Dex, go ahead.
Well, and for what it's worth, the opposition to him is saying all sorts of crazy things right now, like, this is going to go away or these diseases are going to come back, etc. But when you look at what he's actually, at least recently, saying is he is not trying to take anything away. He wants you to have whatever you want, but he wants you to have the clearest, most, high quality scientific study around it so that you can be informed to know what it really will do or not, as opposed to the way the studies are done now, where it's kind of hard to tell or things are swept under the rug, so to speak, and people don't realize what is happening to them when they take this. So it's not about taking it away. It's just about giving people better choice or the ability to make their own better choices with better information.
Well, how many parents are going to feel safe with, and so let me show you an example. There's a battery alert that a lot of folks, so look at this Lego battery advisory. A lot of people were very perturbed by the size of this. Let me see this. Let's see here. Warning. Check this out. So a lot of people were perturbed by this, right? And I think this is great. But for anybody that, I think this is bad for the scalpers mostly, because everybody wants the boxes that came out before this warning. Now, this warning is for those little cell phone batteries, or not cell phone batteries, watch batteries, right? I actually agree with this 1,000%. So if you don't know, in 2022, I believe there was I forget the name of the little kid, but somebody ate one of those batteries, right? That battery ended up getting lodged. They didn't know that the kid swallowed it, and it ended up, the kid perished. So, but the proportions are judged on box size. So these giant warnings, the pictures don't really do it justice, but these are big boxes. So the warnings are so big. Like here's one before the warning, right? There's the Home Alone set or whatever it is. Here's one after. I mean, it takes up almost a quarter of the box. It's right in your face. It says, this has batteries in it, right? Well, how many parents are going to go buy Apple Jacks if it has a quarter of the box taken up and says this might cause cancer or autism or ADHD? I highly doubt people are going to go with that one. Or here's the thing I don't understand, and they do have health cereals and natural cereals. If say this is America, capitalism, if people want to go with this crap, then they do. You have two kinds of cereals, one right next to each other, one that's not colored and one that is. I bet you that most people are going to eventually go towards the non-colored stuff. The kids might not like it, but guess what? Too bad. You don't get bright red and orange cereal. If you really think about the whole reason why they are popular in the first place is because kids go, I want that one. And that's just disturbing. These are adults making up these rules, trying to do this. And then the FDA backs in and says, oh, well, in these little amounts, yeah, they're safe. Well, what if a kid eats more than the serving size? I'm sorry. I also think the serving size thing is just absolutely stupid. They always base on all of their data based on a serving size. Who has bought a frozen meal or a frozen lasagna that's like this big, tiny thing? And it says serving size 4 servings. What? Whose servings? Like a freaking a hamster? Sorry, that feeds like barely 2 people. So, and they base the actual data on the safety stuff on that kind of stuff too. I guarantee it. Dex, go ahead.
Beans and Frank said, Marf, they sell the same stuff in foreign countries without the bad things in it. And, he's right. There's a lot of our food that doesn't even get sold in Europe or can't be sold in Europe because they actually have strict standards, and the stuff they think that what we put in our food is very bad.
And what I want to see and what I want to know is, and by the way, the same companies that do these studies and the medical studies and things like that, I believe that they will end up finding, and by the way, they said comments about this, that there has been some sort of covering up of this. So they ban it in their countries, but yet these studies come out. What if you actually see that the data is hidden as well, that those people are healthier than the people with this? What is the difference between the United States and a country that has banned it for a long time? What is the difference in the percentages of ADHD, autism, of all of these different things that have spiked? We do know that in the U.S., it is absolutely insane. We are getting these crazy percentages of youth that have mental illness, that have ADHD, that have ADD, that have autism, that have Asperger's, that have all of these numbers. Everything is shot up. They said 1 in 22 kids, what was that, has autism in California. Like, that's bad. And why more in California? It's like 1 in something in the 30s in regular kids in the rest of the country. In California, it's 1 in 22. What the hell's the difference in California? What is happening there? Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, and the other one is like going to Italy, right? People who have celiac disease or have high gluten issues here in the U.S., but they could actually go eat in, say, Italy, and they're fine. The dermal wheat and other stuff there that's totally different than what we have here. No problems.
So when people first started, I was young. I was 18, 19 working at a pizza place, and that was the first time that people started coming in and asking. This is 15, 16 years ago. That was the first time that people were starting to ask, for gluten-free pizza or gluten-free crust. And at the time, my Brazilian boss was like, what are you talking about? Like, no, if you want gluten-free, go make your own pizza. And I just thought it was so weird. And all these people started coming in, and I thought it was a made-up thing. I really did. Until I got my intestinal stuff in my 30s, I really thought that it was fake. I thought that it was like a made-up, or like you thought you were getting something. Because I'm like, how could it be all of these normal things? But it is. And I think it is because of how it is manufactured and the crap that they are putting in it. So it's really nasty. Again, we'll be covering it, and we'll be talking about this more as time goes on. And of course, crazy stuff. You've got The Onion buying InfoWars. Okay, so mind you, a lot of people have been weighing in on The Onion. A lot of people said, they used to love The Onion, that they liked The Onion back when it was truly satirical stuff, but it got too politically motivated, right? I guess some could say the same thing. I don't know if Babylon Bee has ever been, in the middle, but Babylon Bee is on the other side of things, right? Babylon Bee does all of these super right-ended videos and things like that. The Onion, though, has truly put out some stuff that is, it's not really satire. It's true. But they just ended up buying Alex's company. One thing I don't get is it was a couple $100,000 or something that it was. It wasn't $1.5 billion or whatever it was. The debt that he has, something must have been on purpose. One of his millionaire friends didn't buy it for $350,000 or $500,000 or $1 million. How much did it end up selling for?
I don't know that the amount's been released, but he did make a statement saying that they didn't have to choose the highest bidder. They could choose whoever they wanted. And they chose this bidder, and this was not the highest bidder. So it wasn't about money.
What?
It was more about shutting him down, because their intention was, and they talked to the families, and they had to get the families on board with them, but their intention was to turn the brand into a satirical brand about all the bad things that are talked about on that side, and make fun of it, poke fun of it, as well as promote the whatever family organization that they have.
Yeah, good luck with that. Sorry. They've tried making fun of the stuff that's talked about, but it only brings more attention to it. So you know what ends up happening is they don't end up touching those subjects. The thing is forever, the reason why many of your friends and family members think you're crazy is because they're saying, oh, you think everything is connected and all these people are going up to just a couple families. Okay. And all of the things that happened over the past few years, it's all connected. Oh, wait, it is. It all goes up to just a few agencies, which essentially made rules for the entire planet. All of us were locked in our houses because of just a few people's decisions. So, yeah. And then the countries that didn't play ball, well, I covered that. I think there was 5 or 6 that initially said, nope, we're not doing it. We're not playing ball. We're not even going to try. Mysteriously, I think 5 out of 6 mysteriously perished. Heart attacks or this or that. I mean, it was within 3 months. It was nuts. All 6 of them had some sort of event happen, or they were replaced in some way. I think 5 out of 6 perished. 1 was replaced. Dex, go ahead.
Hey, breaking. So no one here just told us this, and I looked it up, and according to AJ, who just posted it, he said this is 26 minutes ago on X, the federal judge has now blocked the sale. So it is not sold to them. They blocked the sale to the Onion, and the judge has ordered evidentiary hearings to discover what really happened. So that's the latest.
What do you mean what really happened?
Well, that's AJ's words, what really happened. He is claiming that there was some sort of shenanigans in how the sale went through, because they didn't go for the highest bidder. They didn't go for the money for the families. Instead, they chose this one group that was trying to do something to shut it down, or to do something against AJ, as opposed to make the money to pay back what's owed in the bankruptcy court.
Even if you hate the guy, you would think that that you would want this to be a fair thing as far as the sale goes. But how would they not go for the highest bidder? I've never heard of that. Like, what would be the point of bidding if they basically just have already pre-chosen who they want to get it? I mean, what if it goes up to $10 million and they choose somebody that did $200,000 or did $10? Somebody could have bought it for $10 if they're going to choose who gets to win. Then what the hell's the point of bidding? The people that they've already decided they want to have it, they could literally bid $10 and say, well, because of how we set this up, we're not going with the highest bidder. We're just going to go with the preferred bidder. Then why don't you just sell it to those people and not have an auction in the first place? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Dex, go ahead.
It is, and that's what he's saying. He's saying there was no auction. I mean, there was an event. Something did happen. The website's still down, so they came in, took it over, shut it down, but it sounds like it's being court ordered to pause, and they're going to investigate it. So I don't have any more details because it's really really breaking. But yeah, that's the other word he used, was there was no auction. I don't believe that doesn't mean there wasn't an event that went down today, but maybe true spirit of an auction wasn't what happened.
Well, take opinion out of it. Take AJ out of it. This is in itself a business. If it is not a corporation or an LLC or whatever the heck it is a business. It is an American citizen's business. Take away all of the opinion, all of the stuff, which again, opinions or mistakes, whatever they did, that should be separate from the actual company, corporation, whatever it is. Otherwise, think about the ramifications that could have with anybody's business. If you have the wrong opinion if you did something and you can't pass that business off, or it goes to somebody. So say the person goes to jail. They did something bad. They took the lives of people, right? Either way, that business is a business separate of that person. They would usually pass it off to somebody else, whatever. But how would you do something like this when it is most likely a multi-million-dollar business as part of the vitamin side and things like that? I don't understand. And if they cared about those families, they would want him to keep going. They would want him to make as much money as possible so he could then give it back to the families. The $1.5 billion number is so insane, and everybody agrees that that there should be some sort of thing if this is, the truly how it was, but then it was interjected into it. As far as most people agree, I should say most people agree that there should have been some sort of thing there, right? Because it did cause an issue at the main point, which he admitted, he said multiple times, but he didn't, just like the 6th, it's like you didn't directly say to do any of these things. It was through cause. So the $1.5 billion thing, that's when institutions got involved, media got involved. I mean, it was like a public humiliation. Same with how he got, taken off of everything. It was really insane. That was a scary time because you have to think about it. Say, just take his name out of it, put any other name in there. And that means that essentially anybody this could happen to next. What if we do truly have an Adolf running our country in 15 years, right? The real thing, the real deal. Everybody knows what they're doing is absolutely horrid. And if you go against that, or if you speak up against that, then the government could then take everything away, do something like this. I mean, that's scary. That's definitely not on the principles. And then Mike Tyson. This is going to be interesting. I don't know if you've seen the viral clip of him being interviewed by, it's probably a 10-year-old girl, and she's asking him like, well, what do you, how would you like, something as a kid, what would you like to be telling everybody about leaving a legacy? He's like, legacy? I don't want a legacy, blah, blah, blah. I don't give an F, blah, blah, blah. He's talking to like a kid. And he's like, I don't care. When I'm dead, I'm dead. When I die, I'm just going to die. I don't care about no legacy. I don't care about what people think of me. Why am I going to care about people think of me when I'm dead? Like, I don't give an F. It's Mike Tyson for sure. Most people think it's freaking hilarious. Some people thought it was absolutely untactful, which I thought it was not great thing to say to a kid or to a whole generation that probably looks up to him. But again, I think it's almost because he had so many people say that his legacy is ruined by this fight, this Mike Tyson fight with Jake Paul, or Logan Paul. I forget. I always get them confused. Whichever one. I mean, it's a circus. It's a sideshow, right? And what if he actually loses for some reason, or it's rigged, or he knocks him out in the first 5 seconds, which I would hope he would. Because then you would know it wasn't rigged. Dex, this is such a circus, and this is going to be the distraction for the next couple days.
Sure it is. And Carol just said Mike Tyson slapped Jake on tonight on stage. I guess they do that pre-stage thing. So I wonder if that I have to go look that video up. But yeah, people in the
They're best friends.
Yeah, people. It's that that stuff's always a show at the beginning, but the showdown or the square off. But nonetheless, people in the industry are sort of saying like, look, Tyson hasn't been in the ring since 2005, and when he got out, he was destroyed. Like he was not capable of continuing, and he shouldn't get back in the ring at all. So on one hand, there's a lot of people that are thinking this is just whether you think Jake is great or not, it's just not healthy for this 58-year-old person who couldn't get through his last fight and got taken out sitting on the stool with a technical knockout, should even be getting back in. They consider it dangerous. So that's just some people's opinions. Of course, there's other people that just want to think, oh man, I love Tyson because they remember the great old days and would love to see him there again. But he's not going to be the 80s Tysons, right?
You see a lot of people, he has had sort of a redemption arc, right? He obviously did horrible things to women, which I believe he did admit to all of that, right? I mean, he did horrible things. He beat women, right? That was one of his main charges back then, that he beat his ex-wife, right? Pretty sure that's what happened. I mean, the guy punches pretty much everybody. I don't think he picks certain people. I think he just punches anybody that screws with him, and he's a little kooky. But most people have liked Mike Tyson because of how he has been over the last 20 years. What is your guys' opinion on redemption? Like, can you truly change? Can you become a better person? I do believe you can redeem yourself. I believe that in my eyes, if somebody repents and truly does try to change, they can change. I don't get the people that say that people cannot change. I've seen a lot of people change and permanently change for the better. But it's just like somebody who is an alcoholic or a drug addict. You can't tell them something. You can't make them change. That change has to come from, within themselves. Anybody who has tried to deal with a family member who's an alcoholic or somebody like that and try to make them stop doing things, it's impossible. It doesn't work. It has to come from, that person. But then again, there's people that have been clean and sober for 40 years and changed their life and did things. What is your opinion on Mike Tyson? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear about it. And again, join us for our next show where we're going to talk about everything else that just transpired in the last 24 hours. I'd love to hear from you guys, and thank your mods by going over to marfooglenews.com/friends. If you want to join us for that next show, all you have to do is stay in the chat if you're already there, or if you're watching the replay, click right here. We'll see you in just a minute over on Marfoogle TV, our sister channel.